Time to do some sketchy shit. Doo-dah, doo-dah. Hope I get away with it. Oh, da doo-dah day.
Hello, my name is Dan Hallville. Welcome to Last Man Standing. And thanks to Aunt Donna, I'm not running the end credits right now because I'm not alone. We have Aunt Donna with us tonight, and we're alone, so ain't no telling what we'll get up to. Yeah, well, really, if it weren't for Aunt Donna, Uncle Carl would go, I see the opening credits. I see the end credits. Where did the show go?
It's just the
These
two
things
of
they
us, huh?
happen. And just go back to the green room and have the show by ourselves. Um,
Yeah, because that one's not recorded.
ah,
Where is everybody?
I haven't the faintest idea. Um, Richie didn't show up for Stupid O'Clock. Dawn showed up for Stupid O'Clock before the show ever started, which led to hilarity. And she's decided that she needs to get some sleep to gear up for tomorrow. So she's not going to be with us tonight here on this one. And I'm just going, hmm, I put on a new shirt for this.
Well, you can always take it off.
Ah, that it would impress exactly nobody. I mean, I'm an old man. Who wants to see me without my shirt? Besides you. Um, oh, well,
Huh,
I've just got a reminder from Facebook that I should start my show sometime soon. Thank you,
that's good.
Facebook. You're, you know, a day late and a dollar short, as usual. Ah, well,
Well,
and Mike Jimmy popped into Stupid O'clock, but haven't seen him show up here yet. So I
oh
know he
really?
gets
He's
the
up
love.
already.
Yeah, well, he's having coffee, and
He's early
uh,
tonight. Cool.
Well,
Well, I believe Rich was finishing up uh, clearing out his father's house.
mm, I hope everything goes well with that. I'm really hoping they have a quick sale or a very short and intense bidding war.
That'd be nice. I think he said he had 3 people interested in it.
Well, it would be a fantastic place for somebody to eventually own uh, a nice house, very nice house in a very great location, and um, it would do uh, Richie's family no end of good to have that sale progress quickly.
Hmm.
They really, it will give them a lot of closure as well as everything else. Um, one day soon, I'll be in that same situation, and I don't know exactly whether or not my family is going to accept my recommendation as to what we do with the family home. One can only hope because my sister does not want that to be sold to anybody that's not in the family. Um, the the inheritance goes that my brother, my sister, and I split the property equally. My brother and my sister both have their own homes,
Hmm.
as do I. Mine, however, is a closet, and I am willing to take up the tax burden on the original 12 acres the family home is built on and let my brother and sister have the rest of the 60 some odd acres of the farm and decide whether or not they're going to allow portions of it to become McMansions or just keep everybody off of it and keep it going the way it is right now. Um, I don't know. I've talked this over with Lindsay, and she goes, "You don't know what you're getting into." I go, "I grew up there. I know what I'm getting into." Um, I would, I would definitely love to take over the original family. I started to say family plot, but no, the original, the original, the original farm acreage with the house and the machine shop and everything else that's there on the original 12 acres the home is on, and let the rest of the family argue about what to do with the massive portion of the farm.
Hmm.
I think my brother's already purchased the acreage his house is on from Dad before he passed away, and my sister is way off on the other side of town, and she and her husband have their own property, which is equal to or just as good as uh, what the family farm was. Um, I get I get weird reactions
Hmm.
from friends in England that go, yeah, yeah, I've got this narrowboat, I've got this apartment that cost me megabucks in downtown London, and I'm going, yeah, yeah, well, I've got 68 acres in Georgia that belong to my family, and they're going, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, it can get complicated.
It
We
really
fortunately,
can. It
yeah,
really can.
we fortunately didn't have that problem. Uh, the folks had sold their little 4 acres. Well, back when I was 28 years old, the running joke was they sold it so that I had to move out. But
All you had to do was wait for him. All they had to do was wait for you to meet Carl. You would have moved out.
I'd have been there another 3 years. But
Well, can you
yeah,
imagine Carl being a gentleman farm owner?
no,
Um, I don't think so either. Um,
no. But they moved into a mobile home park, had a nice mobile home up here, had a reasonably nice mobile home down in Florida. And after Dad died, Mom went to change her will, and she had all three of us go in with her. A question about the Florida uh, place came up as to how she wanted to leave it, and my brother Dale and I looked at each other, looked at David, and said, "Give us each a buck, and you can have it." So it doesn't even have to go in the will.
hmm
And then we did not put Mom in the home. Mom said, "I've been falling too much. I'm not driving anymore. I'm going into a nursing home. Uh, here's the deed to the trailer. Clear it out and sell it." And we're like, "Okay, whatever you want." She took what few things she wanted out of it, and we went in and took some stuff out that we wanted, and then we sold it all and sold the trailer just almost immediately, and put it all in the bank, and that's what we used to pay her expenses out of the home while she was still alive. But
Yeah, I
yeah.
I rem I remember when we had to put Dad in the hospice and had to talk about final arrangements and stuff, and that was the last time I remember that I actually just broke down in tears
Mhm.
because it was just heart wrenching to think that this was going to be the end.
Mm.
And I mean, Dad had always been Superman. He and Mom had been married for almost 50 years before he passed. Just missed it by that much. And it's not going to be any damn easier when it's Mom's time.
Well,
Uh,
we didn't have to worry about any of that either because both Mom and Dad had prepaid funeral arrangements at the chapel of their at the funeral home of their choice back in their hometown of Catlin. Uh, Mom told them what she wanted to be buried in, so everything was pretty much said and done. And I think my brothers and I have a different view of death because we kind of lived with it every day. My father had rheumatic fever at 9. Mayo Clinic told him at 19 to go home and enjoy his two little boys because he was going to be dead by the time he was 23. Fortunately, they went to Carl Clinic, and the doctor says, "I can't cure you, but I'll try to keep you alive till we can." He was 30 when they adopted me. He was 55 when they put a pig valve in him. Those are only supposed to last 10 years. His lasted 12. Then they put a mechanical valve in,
hmm
and the man who was supposed to die at 23 lived to be 77 and had 16 great grandchildren. But I never
That
knew
is
when, yeah, I never knew when I got home whether Dad would be home in the hospital or not there at all.
that is a testament to not only stubbornness but the absolute unbreakable will to keep going.
Well, that was a lot of my mom because this man took copious medications. And one time when he was being kind of mean to her, I told him, I said, you just better straighten up because she's the only one that understands your medications. And she could so take you out, and nobody would ever blame her because the medications were just so complicated.
Hmm. Oops.
Yep. But and she was amazing woman. Uh, he came first. You know how most women, once the children come along, it's children first.
Hmm.
He came first, and then us, and we just accepted that because that's what kept our dad alive.
Yep.
She was a doting grandmother, but her grandkids had to follow the same rules her kids did. So yeah, the grandkids were not spoiled like most grandparents do their grandkids, and they all turned out to be a pretty good bunch of kids. Even the one I thought was going to end up in jail.
Well, I can honestly say, if they had a treatment for Alzheimer's, Dad would still be with us. He was one healthy guy.
Mhm.
Seriously. Uh, the doctors are going, we can't understand why he's still alive, but he is. So we're just going to make it as easy as we possibly can. And it still took him 21 days in hospice
Mhm.
before he finally said, I've had enough. Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
And he still waited till we went home for visitation that night. He didn't want us there.
Mhm. Yeah. Um. Pop had a colonoscopy, and the doctor perforated, and they could not keep blood in him, and he internally bled for 2 weeks before he finally passed.
With that, it was aspiration pneumonia,
Mm.
which is a horrible thing. It really is. He had forgotten how to swallow because of the Alzheimer's,
Mhm.
and he was breathing his own spit, basically. And they
Nothing they could
tried,
do about it.
they tried, but um, at mid 70s, his veins would not stand up to the IVs to try and put
Mhm.
the antibiotics in, and it's just kind of we done everything we can do,
Mhm.
and he still lasted 21 days after that. And they're going,
Yeah.
Your dad is Superman." And I go, "Tell me something I don't fucking know."
Yeah. My dad's doctor came to the visitation. She was sweet. She's so sweet. And with tears in her eyes, she apologized to my mother for not being able to keep him alive. And my mom's like, "You've kept him alive 15 years longer than he might have had. It's not wasn't her fault that this happened." But yeah, felt very sorry for her. That's something that a lot of doctors just don't do.
Well, I'm glad to say Dad never lost his sense of humor, and for some strange reason, all the nurses fell in love with him. We can't figure out why.
It's that Hollifield charm.
Yeah, what I was going, Dan, Dan, I love you, and Daddy just kind of whispered, "Shh, she'll hear you." Mama was in the other room. I'm going, "Yep, that's my dad." Um, mm, that's I don't know where I get it from. I don't know where my brother gets it from. Just one of those things. And Lindsay's just going, yeah, I understand. My brother's wife is going, you better behave. And Timmy and I are just going, behave. What's that? We don't know the meaning of these words. Um, you think you're speaking English, but you're not.
There's just
Uh,
some things you can't help.
uh, it's the voice. I mean, seriously. And I don't know what you think of me, but Dad's where I get it from.
You
And
know what I think of you.
we will touch on that subject another time. Uh, now, my little brother Timmy has always been. Well, there's no other way to put it. I'm sorry, Laura, but my little brother has always been a babe magnet, and his wife knows it. And that's one of the reasons they are still happily married to this day because she's the babe, he's the magnet too.
Hmm.
But back in his younger years, he could have been so evil. He could have been so evil. But no, we were raised by mom and dad, so evil don't come into the equation. Um, Lindsay's still trying to figure out why I'm not, well, why I am monogamous to the core. And I'm going, mom and dad, I mean, seriously, this is the history. This is the way I was raised. You fall in love, you stay in love, then you die. Okay? That's the equation. Um, I can't put it any more simply than that. It's uh, we're fixated on that one in a million love, and we stay there, and we stay there, and we stay there. Uh, and basically, till death do you part is not an impediment. We override that one automatically. It's just, hey, hold my beer and watch this. Um, Lynn's going to think I'm haunting her if I if I predecease her, which is quite unlikely, because we're both very very healthy. It'll probably be some idiot runs into us in traffic,
Again,
again. Only this time we don't walk away.
no, Carl doesn't believe in ghosts, but if I go before him, he's going to become a believer.
You're gonna slap him in the face every time he goes to bed.
I'll probably just pull the blankets off his feet and tickle him. Hey, Chris!
Hey, Chris. Sorry you can't be here, but we wish you could. Same for
Have fun
Mike
at your
Jimmy. Same for Richie.
have fun at
Um,
your concert, Chris.
yes. I hope it's wonderful, or has been wonderful, and
Of
you're
course,
safely on your way
yeah.
home.
Of course, we're going to get a full report.
We better.
Don and I have been making plans for Hallowcon. Go see
Sadly, I'm
how.
very afraid.
We're going to see how often we can make Chris blush.
We will have to discuss this off camera. There, 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 there might be something that I observed that you might need to know, and
Oh.
then shut up, Chris. Um,
Cool, Chris.
now, one thing I want you to realize: when I'm not at the vendor table with Lindsay, I will be outside at Grillzilla talking to Megan.
Mm-hmm.
Come out there, make friends with Megan. You and Dawn both. And if you can get Carl to do the same, um, I I can promise you that Megan does not play favorites, but she does have influence
Well,
with the menu.
we've kind of got a good start on that from when she's been in the green room.
Oh yes, she's awesome. She's absolutely awesome. She reminds me a lot of Thessaloniki, actually. Just two incredibly awesome ladies that don't get to spend much enough time with. Uh, Situations prevent. Would really like to see Thessaly much more often. I do occasionally get a chance to talk with her in chat when she's, you know, not busy with her classes and things because I don't want to interrupt. Absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. Just I know so many awesome people. It, it's hard to believe that I've met so many living legends. Basically. Oh, Chris, you and me both, dude. But she's got a long. She would have a long way to traverse to get here because she's way on up there. Not quite as far north as Aunt Donna and Uncle Carl and Dawn are, but and she is a student, so she's got a limited budget. So we're lucky when we get to spend time with her. Occasionally, she will get a chance to come to LibertyCon, but not on a regular basis. And um, I love it when she posts something about how she's still uh, continuing her music with the violin as well as her schooling. And school's taken up an awful lot of her time, but fantastic, fantastic person. Absolutely fantastic person. I love them dearly. Oh, I managed to get the pronouns right that time. Hey, I'm old. It's hard for me to adjust to people having alternative pronouns. Um, I try. I do my best. Sometimes I slip.
Yeah, it's like Carl was watching these three people, three young people, and they were. He said goth. I said no, that's emo. But there was this real skinny young girl in her short black skirt, and this chubby blonde girl and a dark haired girl in her short. Her skirt was so short that I'm going. I hope those aren't underwear panties we're seeing because it didn't even go down past her panties. And then
Picture
there
it
was
didn't happen. Uh,
no, no, they were underage. Carl started to take out
okay.
his camera, and I'm like, "Don't you dare!" And but then there was the third one with this really cute leather bustier on, and his short black skirt.
Okay.
And Carl just stared at him for a long time, and pretty soon he leans over and goes, "I think that third one's a boy." And I look at this kid, and I'm like, "Well, the Adam's apple kind of gives it away." This is, I wish it was
If
me.
this
And he's
if
like,
this was the green room, I'd say something, but no.
"Yeah," and he's like, "I wish we were making a movie out of the Mad Gasser because I would want him to play the Mad Gasser."
Oh wow, that's a compliment. That is a compliment indeed.
Yeah, yeah. And I had a fun little run in with an underage myself. You know how I've got parental advisory on my spicier stories.
Yes. Yes, I do.
So this young gentleman stopped in front of my table, and he's like, "Well, what does parental advisory mean?" And I took him to be 16 or 17. He was tall, big guy. So I'm like, "Well, that's a kind of spicy book, and it's something that I don't want a minor to get a hold of because I don't want their mom to be mad at me." So I put those warnings on there so that they'll know they can't get those books. And he asked me a couple of other questions, which I'm like, "Okay, nobody's ever talked to you about this kind of stuff, have they?" So I'm, explaining, and then he goes, "Well, I'm in seventh grade. I'm just trying to figure this stuff out."
Okay. Yep. You're the one of the guys that you're one of the people that the little orange thing is about. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I said, and that's exactly the reason why you can't read these particular books. Now, if you like crime drama, I have these two books or these two series. But you can't have this. And about this time, this lady comes up and says, "Well, what's going on here?" He's like, "Oh, I'm just finding out these banners are on these books." And I said, "Yeah, that's." I told him that's because he couldn't read those books. And she looked at him, and of course, you kind of maybe wonder about three of them, but the one book is called The Seduction of Lily Monroe. Kind of gives you an idea what that book's about.
Yeah,
And she
that
looks at me,
that should be a dead giveaway right there.
and
Um,
yet somebody asked me what it's about. Uh,
um,
but
history.
yeah, she looks at the books and she looks at me and she says, "Well, I appreciate that you have those on there." And I said, "I have those on there so I don't make moms like you mad at me because you can't." And then I did sell Dragons and Wizards to a mom because her daughter had just turned 18, and I'm said that would probably be old enough for Dragons and Wizards because there's just suggestions.
Hmm.
Uh, it's suggestive. There's no real sex. There's no explicit in there. But because it is suggestions, I don't think a 14-year-old needs to be reading it. And if she likes Dungeons and Dragons, I broke two major rules in that one, so she'll enjoy that book.
Don't you love it when you get a story that is absolutely complete in and of itself, but it does break a couple of conventional rules that does not in the least bit harm the story
Hmm.
and does not in the least bit harm the reader.
Yeah,
And
I'm.
it's a wonderful thing to know that yep, um you might think something strange, but I challenge you to go through this and find anything objectionable other than implication. I'm
I
looking forward
I know nothing
to
about Dungeons and Dragons. When that book had started, I was going to be co-writing it with a young gentleman that was supposed to take care of that part, and then he just kind of disappeared on me. This has been
I've had that experience myself before.
25 years ago.
Hmm.
Yeah, and
Now on the other hand, I have had a chance to co-write a book with a major author that all due
yeah,
respect to them, I was not qualified. And they eventually came to realize that and said, "This is not going to work. Let's just stop here." And I've always been grateful for the opportunity and for the learning experience that I had. But definitely, I was not qualified to play in that shared universe. Um,
well,
I really,
it might never have been finished except I was talking about it to a friend and made the comment about not knowing anything. My young friend had sent me a monsters compendium from
hmm.
D&D just to get me kind of acquainted. And this friend is like, "What does it matter what you don't know about anything? You're a writer. I'll bet you could finish the story. And if you can't, you're not the writer I think you are." And I'm like,
Challenge accepted.
"Yeah," because I knew it was going to be a good story. It had to be written.
There have been a lot of times where stories outgrew the original concept. and became something entirely different.
Mhm.
And in the end, they became something absolutely wonderful, but not what the original concept was about.
I'm pretty sure that this did not end up the way he would have thought it did, would should. But like
There's
I said,
nothing wrong with that.
I
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
I consciously broke two mandatory rules, and I am so happy with the way that it turned out, and I'm proud of myself for having finished it.
That once you turn a writer loose on the beginning of a concept, if you walk away, you are not responsible for what that writer does with finishing the original story.
Hmm.
Now, that's not something that ever happened to me because I very, very, very seldom co write something or attempt to write something to somebody else's um, rule book, story concept,
Mhm.
because I find that very, very difficult. My own stuff, um,
It's complicated enough.
my own, and doesn't have any rules whatsoever. Yeah, that's the thing. It's very hard for me to sit down and um, cohere to rules. Story of my life. I've
Yeah.
never obeyed rules. I've always gone,
Yeah.
hold my beer and watch this. Um,
Well,
uh,
Carlos says he'll never co-write it with anybody again after writing Woodstock Dreams, and I'm like, well, thanks. He's no, it's the third person. When she tried to edit things, and I'm like, okay, I can understand that because she and I went toe to toe on a certain scene where the bad guy is very mad, and there's about a dozen f bombs in the paragraph when he's yelling at this other.
well, in context, sometimes that's necessary.
Well, she's like, people don't talk like that. Like, yeah, I had. I'm
Yep,
sorry,
yes, they do.
little Miss School, but this scene is almost word for word what I heard somebody do when he was mad at somebody. So this, yeah.
Yeah, I can relate. In one of my stories, I drew heavily on real life events. I actually was a witness to somebody having a nervous breakdown. And it was so intense and so impactful that it, one of the ways that I had to deal with it was to put it in a story. And someone objected to the language and the number of f bombs and everything else that were dropped, and I'm going, this is not, this particular chapter is biography, it is not fiction. And
Mhm.
they're going, no, 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 people wouldn't talk. I'm going, I witnessed this happen,
Mhm.
and this is what they said, and this is what they did. And I have to admit, my fictional version had a much happier ending than the real life version that it was
Mhm.
based on. So, fault me for being kind to the character while drawing upon a real life experience that
Didn't turn out so well.
not for the person undergoing the nervous breakdown. No, they
Hmm.
they did not.
Recover.
Let's just say that the happy ending was not there.
Hmm.
Although everyone tried, it was a very stressful and very difficult and very emotional thing to experience alongside this person. And uh, I understand completely why they finally did what they did, but I can't condone it. So enough said. It's just one of it was real life that got translated into fiction, so I could deal with the experience of having been a witness to it
Hmm.
myself.
And that's how we writers deal with those real life situations.
Hmm. Uh, if if I had not been as honorable a person as I was, the happy ending in the fiction would not have been there. Uh, but I don't go into shock value for its own sake.
Hmm.
Uh, it's just it's disrespectful for the biographical bit of that particular sequence.
Hmm. I
So
think we all have that one story that affects us more than others that we write. Uh, there's one coming up in Hunter's Ridge that my editor's not going to be real happy when he's reading it. I mean, when you creep yourself out, and I'm like, okay, that's why I quit writing Hunter's Ridge for a while and started writing the Beth and Hills because after that book, I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I went really, really dark in this one.
hmm
And then I went back and I think have like three more stories in Hunter's Ridge after that. But yeah, that one had to go on a hiatus for about 3 years.
I've got one that one of the major characters has to die to make the story work,
Hmm.
and I don't want to do that. Um, because I hate killing off characters, even though I know how essential that is to um, this style of plot. And I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want. I've been putting it off. I've been trying to find a way around it, and I can't find a way around it that doesn't ruin the impact of that character's quite necessary death.
I had a character that I wanted to kill off. I wanted to kill off so badly. Had the character get shot. She lived through it though. Yeah. I had to find a different way to get rid of her.
Well, and that's the difference. I don't want to get rid of this one. I mean, it's necessary for the plot.
Hmm.
It's necessary for the impact of the story. I'm going to get hate mail from readers. I don't want to do it, but story logic demands
Hmm.
that this character die. And I've been hung up on this point for years rather than take the easy way out and just write it the way I know it has to be and go from there. I'm I have learned from the best about you build up these characters, you take them through the story at a certain point in order for the reader to get the impact of how this is such a horrible incident. That character has to die. Heroic or otherwise, that character has to die so that the entire rest of the story can move on and the other characters can have the variation of emotional impact from that character's death to motivate them further towards the culmination of the story. I have learned from the best. I mean, just absolutely. If I were to name drop, people would go, "You know them?" And I go, "Yeah, I do." Um, but still, I know it has to be done. I don't want to do it. It's been handicapping me for 2 years now. This story has been sitting there waiting on me to recognize the necessity of killing off my darlings, is a very famous friend of mine has said. If you're not, if you are afraid to edit in such a way that is so ruthless that the story works, the entire story works, not just this one little section. If you are too namby-pamby to face the reader with a very, very highly emotional impact, then you're not doing your best work. The thing is, I know it has to be done. I don't want to do it, but it has to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying my best to dance around it, but there's no way. It has to be done. So,
You have to pull yourself up by the bootstraps, get a stiff upper lip, and do it.
this is going to take many tears on my part
Mm-hmm.
of doing it because this is a character I love, but they, in order for the story to work, in order for the readers to get the full impact of how evil the villain is and how desperate the situation for the heroes are. One character that I love, and I love all my characters, but this one character that I love is going to come to a tragic end. I keep trying to find a way around it, but there's no way around it. If I find a workaround, it's not going to be my best work as a
Mm-hmm.
writer. I'm going to shortchange the reader. They're not going to get the full impact of this is the situation, these are the stakes, this is the price the heroes have to pay. And real life is like that. It really
Mm-hmm.
is. Real life is like that. Everything's if everything was easy, stories would be dull.
Very true.
You have to introduce real danger and real consequences in order to convey the not everything is going to be all roses and wine and chocolate at the end of the story. There's going to be losses. There has to be losses. There has to be circumstances that cannot be undone, that cannot be avoided, that have to be learned from in order to overcome, so that the rest of the characters can learn, overcome, and grow.
Mm-hmm.
20 years ago, I would not have been adult enough to be even hung up by this little dilemma. I would have just sidestepped it. Now I'm going, I can't cheat my readers. I've got to do this. I hate it. It's going to hurt me. They're going to write me hate mail because I did this, but it's a necessary thing. Hopefully, some of them will understand writer logic well enough to understand it was a necessary thing. And they're still going to be pissed off.
Yeah.
Oh.
But you know something? When your readers hate you for something you've written, that's just as good or maybe even better than if they love you for something you've written.
Oh, they're going to
Because
love
you've
the whole.
touched them.
They're going to love the whole thing. They're just going to write that. They're just going to hate the part that this character has to die. And I'm still looking for an exit. I really am. But the only possible exit is in a totally different series that doesn't have anything to do with this, not even the same universe as this. So that escape room is not available to me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that character, in order to make the story work, and that's the inexplicable part of writer logic. In order to make the story work, this character that everybody will be invested in has got to die for the impact of their death to be heart-wrenching for the readers. It's got
Yeah.
it's not, nothing has a totally happy ending in real life. Um, and nothing has a totally happy ending in fiction unless you're shortchanging the audience. There has to be conflict, and occasionally there has to be loss of a favorite character in order to make the story have, I don't want to say meaning, but in order to make the story intense enough to be worth the reader's time.
Yep. Understood.
I should have saved that for the next time that Tidbits and Scribbles comes on. But then again, I mean, it's just you and me, and
I
I
wouldn't
don't
hold
know,
my breath for
Chris.
tidbits and scribble.
That's all right. We'll take the intent for the thing. The but no, Tidbits and Scribbles has been a wonderful thing where we have been able to talk about writer logic and stuff pertaining to that, how to do this, how to do that. Um, Michaela doesn't really have time for it anymore, but that's because events in real life have screwed things up to where she doesn't have time for it. So,
That too, but she didn't think she was getting the audience that she wanted, and she wasn't seeing the big picture that we were starting to get a lot of live viewers, but the greater amount of viewers were watching it after the fact.
hmm well, uh,
So she's kind of using her job in that as an excuse to let it die.
well, it's not going to die because it's more than just live viewers.
Hmm.
Uh, it's it's on a parallel with what I do with Aphelion. Uh, Aphelion is not about making money. It's about teaching writers enough to be able to sell their own work. Tidbits and Scribbles was about giving lessons to writers who are just beginning, or at least that
Hmm.
was my understanding of it, or my interpretation of what we were doing. Um,
And that's how we viewed it too.
and it's a very valuable resource. Eventually, Michaela might return to it, but in the meantime, it's on hiatus, and
Hmm.
you know these things happen. Um, there are a lot of things, a lot of experiments that people do that don't garner a wide audience right away, and after a reasonable period of time, haven't garnered the sort of audience that the creator wanted it to, and they quite rightly, for reasons of their own, decide it's time to put this on hold because I've got other stuff I need to do, and other stuff that they need to do gets done. Boy, that was polite, wasn't it? Um,
Well, we managed to fill the first time. Gesundheit.
that was a cough, not a sneeze, but
Well,
uh,
Gesundheit means good health, so it works either way.
really, learn how to swallow, Daniel. Excuse me. This isn't the casting couch, boy. If this was the green room, I'd have a whole stream of suggestive things to say, but uh, no, 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 not at all, not at all, not at all. We just can't go for that here. Um,
You have to admit, I am behaving myself rather well.
I'm not. Uh, but I try. And there are people that would say, yes, you're very trying. Um, well, let's see. We have 6 weeks until Hallowcon.
Hmm.
Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
I hope Lindsay doesn't get too uh, wound up in the vendor's table. That if she doesn't sell a lot of stuff, she I hope she doesn't get disappointed if there are not a lot of buyers for what we have.
Mm-hmm.
I also hope that Three Ravens will get the re-release of Marinibrium Volume 1 out so that I have brand new copies to sell. Otherwise, I'm only going to have the uh, the Tom Darby book, and that's it. I'm not going to have a awful lot to sell myself. And a lot of the vendors table is going to be Lindsay's steampunk clothing and accoutrements and fancy stuff and whatnot. And I don't know if Helicon is the right audience to be that sort of vendor. So we shall see. I mean, she did a great business last year,
Mm-hmm.
and we're we're hoping that people will be receptive enough to look at everything and go, "That's cool. I want that," and Lindsay will be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
A lot happier than we were this weekend.
well,
We will not be doing SilCon next year. The mall that they were in was dead. There were only 2 stores open Friday night
mm,
and 3 open today, or rather yesterday. This is Sunday now. We have been led to believe there had been an auto show. Well, there might have been an auto show in town because there were a lot of really nice Corvettes parked outside our hotel, but it wasn't at the mall we were at.
well, that's kind of a misrepresentation to. Okay, yeah, 2 week notice. Thank you, Curtis. 2 week notice to the next issue of Aphelion coming live. Um, Kurt always sends out the messages to let us know that deadline looming. So these things that happen. I'm gonna have to go down the hall. Um, you want me to play a commercial, or you know just monologue for about 3 minutes?
Why don't y'all play a commercial?
Okay, I certainly will. I can do that. If I can find one real quick. Uh, yes. Here we go. I don't know which deity it was that clued me into the fact that any commercial that I made that was designed to give me time to run down the hallway needed to have a waterfall in the background. But yes, that comes in handy, folks. Uh, biology works in very strange ways.
Yeah, I had to mute that while I was playing. I didn't want to be given any ideas.
Oh,
Carl had a interesting sale. A
yes.
gentleman was walking by the table and he looks down and he's like, "Mad Gasser, did you know there was a Mad Gasser of Mattoon?" And Carl's like, "Yes, I did. That's why I wrote this book." The guy ended up buying both books.
Oh, yeah.
But that was funny because most people are like, "Never heard of it." "Oh yeah, I kind of remember something about it," and so you tell the tale. But yeah, we only sold 4 books all weekend.
Yeah, well, I'm lucky if that I sell that many in a year. Not at a convention because, you know, that
Hmm.
that doesn't count because I can be a presence and people will buy stuff just because I'm entertaining as a person. Not many
And
things, but because, you know. And then
you
there was that first year
entertain me.
that was the first year when Michaela sold more of my books than she did of her own.
I sell more Mad Gasser books than he does.
Well,
We come
you
up
know
to
how to size up the audience and tell them what they wish to hear.
well, SoCon is kind of a horror con.
Hmm.
There's people that have been on the Walking Dead TV show. There's same guy comes every year, and then they've got they had a tarot card reader this year. So you kind of figure they come up and they're looking at books and they kind of glance over mine and then they look at that wonderful Eric Hawkins cover on his,
Hmm.
and it draws them in. And I go, "Do you like creepy? Because those books are creepy." And they go, "Really?" And then they pick them up and yeah, didn't work too much this year though.
Mm. Uh, can't wait until the prequel to the Tom Darby book comes out because that one I can go. Yeah, it's kind of tame, but uh, if James Bond was G-rated, this will be what it was. Uh, I don't know if you can read between the lines. It's well, I don't want to say racy, but it's very suggestive. Um, if you're not able to read between the lines, you're 12, uh, and probably would not be needing to read my stuff because of the violence in it. But if you're reading something and you want explicit sex scenes, I'm gonna go. Hey, go talk to Aunt Donna. She's got some really good stuff. Go talk to Michaela. She's got some really good stuff.
Hmm.
Um, mine is just um. Are they doing what I think they're doing? Yeah, they're doing what you think you're doing, but I'm not saying that they're doing what you think they're doing. Um,
4 books out of 13 have sex in them, and yet I'm known as the sex writer.
Mm. Well, I don't think I've written a single one that doesn't have sex in it, but it's so diplomatically phrased that unless you're an adult, you might think you know what's going on, but if you're an adult, you know exactly what's going on.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, and 9 of my books are like that. But no, I'm known as the sex writer. And I need to
I,
talk to Joe Dog.
I think that's a typo. You're the sexy writer.
Oh, thank you. I need to talk to Joe Dog. Carla and I are guest authors at Hallowcon.
Yeah, that means you get to sit up there on the big main stage with Brian, where Brian and Cookie were this last year,
Oh my.
and Stephanie. You probably be right there next to Stephanie rather than the vendor suite with the rest of us outcasts. Um,
It's a good thing I always got the books in the van, huh?
yeah, really.
Well,
And for folks that have been wondering what Hallowcon is, it's a really nice relaxicon. It's horror themed, but not restricted to horror. And it is a lot of fun. But the memberships are held to a small number so that it doesn't grow to be something that is prone to getting so large it's not fun anymore.
hmm.
There's that's a line that a lot of conventions have to worry about crossing. You want to be successful, but you don't want to be so successful that it's no longer fun.
Hmm.
Draw the line between fun and business.
Yep,
That's a
yep.
very difficult line to draw in some cases. And some conventions never do learn that lesson. Some conventions learn it and abide by it implicitly, and they're just awesome to go to.
And if you want to check it out, that's HALLOWCON.com. They've just updated their website and it looks wonderful.
It is gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous. And being as it's us, uh, Don and I have privileged preview sort of access, and Joe Dog has just recently made it accessible to the general public because it's a brand new um, provider for the website. So it's not on the old link anymore. It's on a brand new link. So please do Google that and get the absolute latest thing. Go look at it, and membership prices do go up 2 weeks from now.
Hmm.
So
But it's still dirt cheap.
yeah, it's still dirt cheap, but it's not as inexpensive as it will be for the next 2 weeks. And the rooms are very affordable,
Mhm.
and you do not have to budget for meals except for breakfast. And if
Yeah.
you like coffee and danishes, the hotel provides. If
And
you
if
want
you want a
something
real
more
meal,
substantial for breakfast, there are restaurants all over, just close by.
yeah, there's a Waffle House nearby. That's what's important.
But as far as
Peanut butter waffles.
lunch and dinner the entire weekend, your membership provides. You will
Food
get
and drink.
fed, and if you go home hungry from Hallowcon, that's your fault. Meals are there, and we have one of the most fantastic chefs outside on Grillzilla, making sure that there is absolutely everything delightful for
Oh,
everyone.
and the menu is on the Hallowcon site.
Yes, it is, and it's very impressive. Megan has outdone herself. I mean, seriously, I don't know how she's going to pull it off, but I know she will because she is that good. Just,
I've tasted her food. It's good. Yeah.
oh, yeah. Um, as Joe Dog says, if you go home hungry from Halicon, it's your fault. You didn't take advantage of the stuff that was provided by virtue of buying a membership. Like I said, the only thing it is not provided is a breakfast. And that's because none of us are awake at breakfast time. We've been too busy partying the entire weekend. So, yeah, I mean, seriously, that's an overstatement, but the hotel does provide coffee and danishes, and there's a waffle making machine, and it's hotel stuff.
But
Uh,
those aren't as good a waffles as the Waffle House.
no, no.
No peanut butter chips to go on the waffle, and melt
Well,
wonderfully in all the drill holes.
yeah, you want sweet drizzle and all the waffle waffles, don't you?
Ooh, Sweet Drizzle is going to be there too.
Ooh, that'll be fun. Can't wait to meet Joe and Trey both. That'll be awesome. That'll be awesome. And other people we hope will be there. We don't know for sure. It depends on how events eventuate. We'd love to see Richie and his wife there.
Is Nick
Sooner or
talking about?
later, sooner or later, we'd
Yeah.
love to see Nick and his wife there and their son. Uh, Sooner or later, it'll happen. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year. Sooner or later, we'll have everybody we know and love from our online community. Um,
Well, we're making sure Don gets there.
that's going to be so much fun. She
I
does
don't
know
know how she can't could do that, but if anybody could do it, it's gonna be Meg.
Yep. Is that Chris's? Yeah.
Hmm.
It's hard to believe it could be better. because it was so good. But as Donna said, if anybody can do it, Megan has got every possibility. Um, and um, Megan is very approachable to come out to the grill and strike up a conversation. Now, if you're someone who is like me, afraid of crowds, and got that psychological thing where you can't stand people in large numbers. Helicon is not going to be that large a number,
Yeah.
but Megan has already told me out to the grill is a safe space. She will make sure that you're comfortable, and just you know the only rules are don't be a jerk, don't annoy Mrs. McKeel,
And don't stand behind Joe Dog.
don't stand anywhere near Joe Dog. Definitely says pull my finger. Don't,
Don't.
don't, don't. Run away, run away. Um, do take the time to sit and listen if John Pica sings. His singing is even more incredible than his magic act, even though his magic act is very good. His singing is awesome.
Oh,
Um,
that's another thing. If he does like he did when we were there, he'll be doing his morning show.
yes, he will. Yes, he
So
will.
he will be providing cereal for breakfast
Is that on the Saturday morning or the Sunday morning?
Saturday morning.
Saturday morning. Yeah, okay,
Back
yeah.
cereal box, yes.
That's well worth everyone attending. Really is. Even if you got to get up early, which I promise you I will not, because I will be hungover bigger.
No,
Um,
sorry, John, but it's called physical incapability.
yeah, really. Uh, I I can't I can't pack all the stuff for the vendor's table and the wheelbarrow for somebody to get me down there on Saturday morning because I'm not going to be able to walk until at least noon. Um, oh Lord! And word to the wise: check in on Thursday, check out on Monday so that you can stay for the Sunday night Dead Dog Party, where you see Chris Walker and myself being
Yeah,
very, very irresponsible. But we're not
yeah.
leaving the hotel, so it's still responsible. Um,
We won't be there till Friday about noon, but we're not leaving till Monday morning.
that is the wise choice. The Dead Dog Party is something that I encourage every convention to adopt
Well, like I tell
because
people, how good is Hallowcon? I had to talk Carl into going down Friday and Saturday, and we left Sunday morning. As we're leaving, he said, when we come back, it'll have to be for the whole thing.
definitely, definitely.
And I'm
Um,
thinking that's probably the best thing that could ever be said about a place like Hallowcon that somebody like Carl who does not like people, does not like leaving the house, had so much fun in 2 days that he's wanting to go back and do the whole 4 day thing.
Yep. And the only reason to get there Thursday is so that you have time to recover from the drive, however long it is. And
Well,
then,
see, it's only going to be a 4 hour drive for us because we're going to as far as Evansville
hmm
and stay the night. Carl's got a free night at the Hampton, and I'm
hey,
going, and we're going to my German restaurant, but I'm not getting the coffee beer. The only beer that has ever gotten me really drunk.
well, you know your own metabolism best. So yeah, and Sunday night. Okay, the convention closes Sunday afternoon. Then begins going through everything that is there from the vendors loadout to the consuite, getting stuff ready to dispose of, and it is much better for people to take convention leftovers home with them than for them to be dumped in the trash.
Hmm.
So, just be there, help everything close down. Sunday night, when there is no convention going on, you just have the diehards that refuse to go home.
And the booze.
And yes, you want to finish off all the booze from the con suite, from the bar, so that those bottles do not return with
Anything
probably
in there.
Jay or whoever else supplies. The Dead Pirates will probably be there bringing a lot of supplies, but they don't want to take partially filled bottles home.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
ask for a late checkout on Monday.
Yeah, Chris, it was a really strong beer. I mean,
Oh,
I'm the
yeah.
woman who finished a quart of old style moonshine and just got a buzz. But can't think of the name of it. I think it's Barstool, but I'm not, don't hold me to that. But they have a list of beers and they change it every month, and I'm going down and going, and I like a dark beer,
Oh, yeah, I do too.
and I see this coffee infused German beer, and I'm like, I'd like to have that, and they serve it in these big fish bowls, and my hearing, I thought she said that costs more. And I replied, I don't care, he's paying for it. But she actually, it's no wonder she got a look on her, what? Because I guess she actually said, that's pretty strong.
I don't care.
It,
He's paying for it. Yeah, that still makes sense.
in a way, yeah, Aunt Donna was flying. He had to help me to the car. Fortunately, at the hotel, we were in a room close to a back door because if we had to go in through the lobby, The quarter took 3 jogs before it reached our room. I would not have been able to handle that.
And Chris asked, fish bowls?
That's what they call the huge goblets that they serve
Oh,
their beer in.
the great big huge brandy goblets, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah, and they're very thick, and even without being full, they're very heavy. It does take 2 hands to lift this up, unless you're an especially strong person.
Takes 2 hands to handle a whopper.
Yeah, Uncle Carl knew that our room was by the back door, and he took me in there, and he, yeah, he had to guide me in that little short corridor to the room, and then he went back outside to smoke. Now, I'm not a woman who likes to talk on the telephone. Oh, at least Chris probably. But I was so drunk that I called a friend back in Danville and talked for a good 20 minutes on the phone with her, giggling like a freaking schoolgirl. So Aunt Donna will not be drinking that beer anymore.
Now,
Fortunately, I don't get hangovers, but yeah.
please do tell Uncle Carl when he wants to come out and smoke a cigar, um, knock on our door. I'll come out and smoke a cigarette with him. Um,
But what
we're
about me?
well, yeah, you can too, but I figured you'd be snockered from the fishbowl beer. Um, but
Oh
you
no, no,
said you're not gonna drink that anymore. But
not that one. Mm-mm.
not that one. No. But I know you. Um, that one only leads to what can I replace that one with? Um,
No, this time I'll be listening to the waitress, and if she says that's a strong beer, I'll go, okay, I don't want that one.
I want two of those. Um, can you put one in a takeout cup? I'll need that Sunday night. Um, oh Lord,
So that
no.
makes 3 times Aunt Donna has ever been actually drunk in her whole life. The one time I
Man.
did have a headache the next morning, but it was from banging my head on the door, not from the booze. I think I still have the lump too. That was a year ago.
I could not comprehend only having been foolishly drunk 3 times in my life. No, um, I've been to college and I've lived a long time after college, so yeah, I've been, um, shall we say, unfortunately, too intoxicated more times than I can count. And it
I
was
never,
fun.
yeah.
It was always fun at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and occasionally there was a hangover. Occasionally, because I bothered to wake up before 6 p.m. the next day. Um, but there are times when it's not only called for to celebrate that much and enjoy that much, but fortunately still be functional the next day at a reasonable checkout of the hotel time.
I don't understand.
Reasonable. I said reasonable.
I don't understand Chris's question. What is it, Mrs. Newbies?
Uh, I said, I,
Explain
you got
yourself,
some
Chris.
explaining to do, Lucy. I don't know, Chris. I probably should understand that, but I don't. So we shall see. He will reply. Oh,
Takeout
take
drinks. Oh,
takeout drinks. Not
evidently.
Miss Mrs. Newbies is a place that serves takeout drinks. Okay.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
kind of like Nolan's.
Yeah. You can wander out on the road with the fishbowl full of whatever, and the cops go, "Have a nice night. Be safe." Oh Lord.
Punch, punch.
I don't ever want to. I no, not ever. No, 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 not. I'm out of college now. I do not want to go through that experience again. No, thank you.
Panama City Beach. That explains some shit.
Oh yeah, okay. I've been there. A drive-through in Panama City Beach that serves Hunch Punch. Oh, I bet the state patrol had a wonderful time with that place. Um, You get 3 feet out of the driveway. Pew, 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 pew.
Yeah.
And be going like, is there a problem, officer? You want to hit? It's, it's Panama City. You never know. Um, Jesus.
Cop says,
about
no, I just finished one.
talk about habits I haven't indulged in decades.
Ah,
Ah, oh, but it's a good hangover remedy. Uh, in those places where it's legal.
it's legal in Illinois now.
It ain't down here. Maybe never. I mean, and I said the same thing about being able to buy beer on Sunday too. And a couple of years ago, that happened. I guess a bunch of daughters of the Confederacy passed away. Weren't able to vote against it anymore. Still trying to figure out why a whole generation of people that burn crosses on other people's lawns are able to decide on what the laws are supposed to be here. Georgia's stupid sometimes. Oh, you had to give us the damn recipe, didn't you?
He didn't give us all the recipe, though.
And something. Yeah. More golden grain is probably the missing ingredient.
Fruit punch and orange sherbet. That doesn't
Too much one to
sound
pass up.
appealing
Yeah.
to me. But for some reason, it's making me crave a white Russian.
That's sane. Hunch Funch is not sane. But when you're in college, you think it is. Here's a trash can full of golden grain and some juicy fruit, whatever it is. Just go ahead, dip your cup in. It'll be fine. We'll help you crawl to the restroom.
Well, I kind of lucked out. The year I turned 18, Illinois dropped the drinking age down to 18. And the year I turned 21, they decided they'd been fools and put it back up to 21. So I managed those 3 years there to start drinking. Well, my folks started me early. They were, as long as you're drinking in the house and that I always got some of the New Year's punch, and my mom made good New Year's punch. Of course, we're also talking about the lady who made black cherry jello with Logan David wine.
I think we have been challenged, my dear.
We'll see. Just remember, Chris, I've been challenged at Hallowcon before and came out on top.
Managed to walk away steadily without wobbling. Yes. Um, oh, and for those interested, Kraken Gold does not taste anything near as good as the other varieties.
Really?
It's I'm gonna have to buy Coca-Cola to mix with this shit. I mean, yes, it would be great with rum and Coke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but not
Uh,
straight like you can do the rest.
no, it's not a sipping rum. It is not a sipping rum. Um, unless you're used to inferior rums. And I hate to classify a variety of Kraken as inferior, but it's the taste experience is not optimal. So
What makes it
mm,
golden?
it's yellow. I don't know. Uh,
I'll have to look next time we're at Benny's and see if they've got it.
it's
Check
it's
check the
it,
label.
it would be fine as a mixing rum. It's not anywhere. It's not a touch on the coffee Kraken. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
touch on the regular
Yeah,
Kraken.
this is some good stuff.
Those are excellent, and I find them much preferable to sip rather than use as a basis for a mixed drink.
Mm-hmm.
The gold would be a good basis for a mixed drink.
Little tip: never mix rum chatter with the coffee infused Kraken.
And
Mm.
unless you want to be comatose for several hours, yes,
And if you do not drink two fish bowls of it in one night.
and
I think
attempt to stand up.
I stood up just fine until I hit the door.
It was navigating the doorway. Yes, indeed. What is this portal doing in my way?
Who
Ain't
puts a door in the middle of the wall? Okay, that's the only place there was
for the
for it on that
yes,
wall.
it's the best place to have them. Um, who bounces off the middle of the wall where there's a door? Um,
I didn't bounce off the wall. I hit that door just right on the edge because
head on. Yes.
we should have either shut the door or no, he couldn't pull it all open because he's got the my candy stash behind it. But who leaves their door halfway open in the middle of the night?
It was your room.
No, it was Carl's room.
Oh, okay. Well, that explains a lot. More into flavor and taste rather than alcohol content. Well, that
Hmm.
explains the girls you date. Um,
No, in my
not
bedroom,
the
the
green
door.
room, Daniel. Not the green room.
I was trying to ignore that. In my bedroom, the door is in the corner, and It's open against the wall there, so there's no way you can run into that door. Yeah.
Almost every place I have lived, I have removed about half the doors because they just get in the way. Hey, I forgot to open it again, didn't I? Um,
When we were looking at houses, one of the houses we looked at was Jerry Van Dyke's house.
whoa,
And the front part was really cool. But then you go into the butler's pantry, which was really nice. And then there's a doorway that goes to the um, servants' quarters. Oh, that's nice. Open the door. Oh, there's this. It's not even a hallway. It's just a place, and there's the door to the butler's pantry. There's the door to the uh, servants' quarters, and there's a door here that goes outside, and they all open the same into the same space. You have to go in, shut one door, and then open the next one. To, I was trying to ignore that subject, Chris, but
we're
yeah,
annoying that way.
uh, you couldn't leave a door open and open the other door. You had to shut it and then open the next door to get in. I'm like,
It's like an airlock.
that's so strange. Yeah. And Carl liked it. He had a bar in the basement. He had a small stage in the basement too, so that when he had company, he had a stage to sit on and entertain them.
There was one house that I rented with some friends from college, and it came with not only a huge bookcase, but a full bar.
Hmm.
We had fun with that,
I'm sure you did.
and I was no longer in college, but my roommates were, and it was 3 bedroom, 2 bath, enormous living room, the bar, huge kitchen, and a fireplace.
Hmm.
A working fireplace, not an ornamental fireplace, but a working fireplace, which also had one of those start the fire. There's this fan with enclosed pipes. You turn on that, and it would blow hot air out into the house.
Oh
That
wow.
came in very handy that winter. The rest of the heating was um, floor to ceiling gas heaters. There were two of those. They were insufficient. But in the year and a half, 2 years that I lived there, we found ways to cope with that. Um, that was a fun place to live. It really was. I was very sad it was a rental. It would have been a very nice place to mortgage and purchase, but
Hmm.
was not an option, and I was too young to think of that at the time. But in town, very close to several different grocery store complexes, very close to all of the party spots in town. Um, would hate to have driven home from said party spots to the house and tried to get out of the car and into the house after a usual Athens, Georgia party at a bar. These things are designed to be difficult to do, um, but you know, we were kind of laid back and did all of our partying
Come here, baby
inside the
boy.
house. Um, was on a place called Nottingham Drive.
A
It
good
was
cool
really,
address to have.
yeah, it was a cool address to have. It was a really cool house to be in. Um, wish I could have stayed there longer, but everybody moved away and I couldn't afford to have it by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
You come up here.
it was a fun time. All of my roommates from there, I do still miss being able to be around. They're all still around in different places because everybody dispersed. But it was a very cool place to be. Um, really loved it. There was one blizzard where we actually used the fireplace to put um, stakes on one of my fencing foils and just cook steaks in the fireplace. That was awesome. Um, we had many a risk game there, uh, where you had not only the people who have been playing so long they used two boards put together, but I made a round table risk thing that took in the entire globe. And hey, if I had been able to sell that to Milton Bradley, I'd been a billionaire today. But never got around to it. Um, it was an amazing house. It was an
I mean,
amazing house.
not laughing at you.
The I hope anybody that moved in after we left found it to be just as wonderful as we did. Is great memories.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
I had I had to put that in tractor introspection sometime. Um, one, yeah, the blizzard weekend actually led to me becoming a
Thank
writer.
you. I'm finally forgiven for being gone for 2 days.
Mm,
Another very weird thing in Jerry's house was in the master bedroom. And I don't even want to call it a chest of drawers because it was all built in, about
mm-hmm.
4 foot high and 12 foot long set of drawers. 12 foot long. The drawers no bigger than about that wide and about that thick. There must have been 100 of them. Then Carla and I are looking at that and going, you'd have to put labels to know which drawers you're
On
talking.
everything, yeah. This is my socks. This is my underwear. This is the stuff we don't talk about. This is yep.
It
And
wasn't a cabinet. It was a bunch of drawers that they had built in, and it was really cool. It reminded me of the card catalog in a library, the old
yeah,
card catalogs. It looked just like that out of maple, but yeah, about 4 foot high and 12 foot long. All these drawers. Then Carl looked at the yard out front and said, "That's an awful lot of mowing. I don't think I want this house."
shut up, Carl.
No, no, I
Well, it wasn't your castle, so you wound up winning in the end.
yeah, I wasn't. I mean, it was cool. I would have liked to have had the kitchen and the butler pantry, but the rest of the house I was about. You know, it's the only thing about my castles. I have a small kitchen. All these huge rooms, and when they built the kitchen on, they built a small kitchen on.
Well, there's nothing wrong with a small kitchen as long as you use it effectively. Might take.
You haven't heard. You haven't eaten my cooking. There's a reason I only cook supper.
There are those of us who are quite adventurous in the kitchen, and I don't mean doing uh, adult movie stuff on the table. Um, Lindsay and I both love to cook, and she's much better at it than I am. But I do enjoy the occasions when I get to play in her kitchen, and it is definitely her kitchen. And I don't mean that in any disrespectful way. My wife is awesome as a cook and also as a wife, and I'm just some guy that grew up having to learn how to be a self-sufficient bachelor. So I have to, my recipes are few and far between and have to be stretched for two people. But these things are part of being around these days. And Donna, I hate to say it, but we have gone 2 hours. And Richie, we missed you. Mike, Jimmy, we missed you. Chris, we missed you, except in the comments. Let's just say Debbie never did the dishes while she was in Dallas.
And Chris, I'll put my pictures of the house in my Dropbox so that I can show them to you in next 6 weeks. 6 weeks.
Well, let me switch over to Brand here. And Donna, I'm afraid we need to say goodnight. Otherwise, Carl is going to go, "You went for 17 hours?" Oh, no.
Oh, the heck with him. I mean,
It'll be all right. It'll be all right.
Okay. Time to say goodnight, Gracie.
I have to get some sleep. So, yeah.
Time
to say goodnight, Gracie. So, goodnight, Gracie.
I know. It is.
And for everybody that's watched this all the way through or watching it all the way through on the replay, thank you very much. We appreciate that. Like, share, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. We're never going to get monetized, but it's good to dream, ain't it?
But we have fun.
Oh, son of a gun. You thought I was going to say son of a bitch, didn't you?
Transmission overload.
System will shut down. shut down. System will shut down. System will shut down.